you.
I'm gonna do me. Hi there. Okay. I've never done well with auditions. High-stake performances, even when I thought I'd have success, I have a trail of failures in my wake. 7th grade pom-pom tryouts. Pom-poms when I was in 7th grade wasn't what pom-poms is today, with gymnastic feats and all that. No, when I was in 7th grade pom-poms was pretty basic. A little of this, a little of that, some kicks and basic dance moves. And I had dance moves. And having learned the tryout routine to Crocodile Rock, I was pretty confident and excited for the tryouts and becoming a pom-pom girl. It just so happened that the night before tryouts, my mom took me out for a bit of shopping. I suppose I needed some things, and one of those things was a pair of jeans. The next day, feeling good about myself and excited about the tryouts, I chose to wear the new pair of jeans. Though my mom suggested maybe we should wash them first. Nah. I was happy all day at school, excited for tryouts, liking my new jeans. I felt good. After school, I head to the locker room. We were to wear our gym uniforms for tryouts, white t-shirt, blue shorts. When I went to change, when I took off my new pair of jeans, I saw that they turned my legs blue. And those blue legs paralyzed me. Suffice it to say, this blue-legged crocodile did not rock that day. And I did not make pom-poms. Sophomore year in high school, the drama club is going to have a show of one-act plays. Excerpts from different plays and musicals, and one of the acts is from a chorus line. A chorus line. I've been to a chorus line. My mom took me to see it at the Schubert Theater, and oh my God, I loved it. The dancing, the music. I remember our seats were the first balcony, and I just leaned over the railing, enthralled through the whole thing. I remember too the t-shirt from the play that my mom got for me. I can still see it. I wore the heck out of that t-shirt. I wore the heck out of the soundtrack too. I flippin' loved a chorus line. So when the drama club is putting on a show and one of the acts is from a chorus line with the solo, What I Did for Love, count me in. I was in choir, not a standout by any stretch. Your basic alto, I could carry a tune, and it was a chorus line. And I knew a chorus line. I'd been to see it. I knew the soundtrack. I even had a t-shirt, so yeah, me, a solo, What I Did for Love from a chorus line, why not? Turned out, being up on that stage all alone was a whole lot different than singing with my fellow altos, and a whole lot different than singing along to the soundtrack in my bedroom. What I Did for Love, it didn't go well, and I had to kiss that day goodbye. I may have not made pom-poms and I blew the chorus line audition, but neither of those things stopped me from dancing. I loved dancing, and honestly, I'm a pretty good dancer, always was. I was never any kind of athlete, but I've always had rhythm and always been a pretty good dancer. So in my senior year of high school, me making Orchesis, the school's dance group, didn't seem to me an outrageous possibility. Orchesis had some pretty serious dancers. Still, I thought I was good enough to give it a try. And really, the week-long after-school workshop, I felt better about my chances than I did about 7th grade pom-poms. Those workshops, they were in the dance studio in the basement, and so there was a mirror on the wall, and I could see myself. And I learned the routine to Cheryl Lynn's To Be Real, which is to this day one of my most favorite songs. I learned the routine, I practice it. I even wear my chorus line t-shirt on one of the workshop days. And by the end of the week, lined up with the other girls, when the music starts, 5, 6, 7, 8, I dance the routine, and I see myself dancing the routine, and I am honestly good. But then there was the audition, and I don't know what happened. My wheels fell off, and what happened was I didn't make Orchesis. Even as adults, the failed audition, the failed high-stakes performance has followed me. I'm a real estate agent, a good one. And several years back, I worked with a builder, and I was his listing agent for a $1.7 million house he built. $1.7 million houses are not my norm, so it was a big deal. I had fabulous photos taken, got the fancy brochures made, and that first week I'm gonna have an open house. Days before, I planned my outfit: black pencil skirt, white blouse, black tights, black boots. The morning of the open house, I'm getting ready. My blouse is ironed. I'm excited for my open house at my $1.7 million listing. When I put on my tights, I notice there's a small hole in the toe, but it doesn't break my stride. I've got my Franco Sardo boots. I'm Annette Bening in American Beauty. I will sell this house today. It's a cold but sunny winter day. I have my open house signs in my car, and I stop along the way to set them out to direct visitors to my open house. It's a big house, and I am there in plenty of time to turn on every light, every room, upstairs, downstairs. I am real estate extraordinaire with an open house at a $1.7 million listing. It is when I'm in the kitchen, standing at the counter, the sun shining through the 2-story wall of windows, the light pouring across the quartz countertops, that I look down at the floor and I see. It's here that I have to tell you I have bad feet, and I have to have comfortable shoes. And when I find shoes that are comfortable, I often buy them in multiple colors. And that's when I did what I did when I found those Franco Sardo boots. They were both styling and comfortable, so I went ahead and bought them in brown too. And what I saw standing in the kitchen on that sunny morning, just minutes before the open house was to begin, were my boots, and the one black one and one brown one I was wearing. I greeted visitors to the open house that day in my stocking feet, my toe poking through the growing hole in my tights. It was not the look, the performance I was going for, but that's how it goes with me. It was November when Errol invited me to come here. I know Errol from storytelling that we have in Lockport. Like he said, Stories Are Us. Errol's been to Stories Are Us a few times. He's told stories there. I'm a huge fan. And he's also come just to hear them. We've had storytelling in Lockport for a few years now with Stories Are Us, but as Errol said before, it was Art Inspired Life Lit. And it was with Art Inspired Life Lit that I first came to storytelling. Before then, I didn't even know there was a thing called storytelling. And from the first time I came to storytelling, I was hooked. I loved hearing people's stories. And I thought it was totally cool that in our little town of Lockport, some of the tellers came from the city, with impressive tellers with impressive bios. They've been telling stories for years. They won this story slam, written books. They performed stories on stages all over the place. And they were all good, really good, legit. Storytelling as a craft, they had it down. I took storytelling classes that were offered. I loved those classes. It was a pretty magical experience, just telling and writing stories together. Anyway, I took the classes, liked them so much, I took them again. And then I was invited to tell a story. And I did. And I got invited again. And I guess it's fair to say I've become a fairly regular storyteller in Lockport. In November, when Errol invited me, I was like, what? Really? I mean, I'm a regular teller in Lockport, but I still feel like a new storyteller. I have so much to learn about storytelling and the craft of it. Because so far, I don't have a library of stories, though I'd like to, and it's something I want to work on. But so far, the stories I've told, they sort of come to me. Sometime before I'm going to tell a story, something happens, or I get a thought or a memory, and it twirls around in my head, and it becomes a story. And that somehow doesn't seem like that's how it's supposed to be or supposed to work if you're a storyteller. A legit one anyway, and that's probably why when Errol asked me, I said, really? But then in my mind, I'm thinking, I'm a storyteller. It's November, and I have till February. So I said yes. I I have till February. I will come up with a story by then. I mean, there's Thanksgiving, the holidays, winter, February, Valentine's Day, maybe a love story. So much fertile ground for a story. I will come up with my best story ever. Thanksgiving comes and goes. December, the holidays, mostly uneventful. I'm thinking hard on the idea of a love story, but nothing is jumping out. Round about the first of the year, Errol reaches out and he asks for a photo in my bio. And this sends me a little over the edge, because now I'm thinking about the city storytellers who come to Lockport, storytellers who take their storytelling show on the road, who've told stories all over the place, who've won story slams, written books, storytellers with bios that make it clear they're legit. And now I'm taking my storytelling show on the road to Berwyn, and my bio hardly seems good enough, but I've got nothing to beef it up with, so I send what I've got. And the bio really is the least of my worries, because here it is, January 1, and I still don't have a story. I've got all these snippets of memories of failed auditions, and I don't know why they're coming to mind. And it is on January 9th, less than a month before I'm supposed to be here, I'm getting panicked. Because all I've got are these memory snippets. They aren't coming together as a story, but they aren't going away either. And in the midst of my own little breakdown of panic, the thought comes to me, distinct and loud and clear. I can hear it in my own voice. Amy, Errol didn't ask you to come for an audition. He invited you to tell a story. Remember why you want to tell stories, and tell an Amy story. I had gotten myself all twisted up. From the moment Errol invited me, my mind had started twirling about stories and performance and big days and past failures, and I hadn't come up with a story. I'd ended up with this knot in need of untangling. I remembered from one of the early storytelling classes, we've been asked to think about why we wanted to be storytellers and write a sentence or two. So I went back into my notebook to look for it. And this is what I had written. I want to tell stories because I believe our vulnerabilities tether us to one another, and I'm willing to go first. Okay. I'm not sure I understood what I meant when I wrote that, but in untangling the knot in my head, I do now. I understand now what hooks me about storytelling. It's not just the stories, the good ones well told, the ones that resonate, the ones that take you to faraway places, the ones that stir a memory you thought had been lost. As good as they are, as much as I like them, it's not just the stories. It's the vulnerability expressed in the telling of them that hooks me. Because no matter the story, in storytelling, the teller is in it. And they are not just telling a story. They are telling their story and telling something honest and real and true about themselves. This mattered to me. I loved this person. I missed this person. In this, I was happy or scared. Here, I felt lonely, loved. This makes me laugh. This makes me cry. There is an unguarded true of every story and every teller who tells one. And it's the vulnerability of that hooks me. It lights me up. And I understand now too something about myself. I feel most alive, least alone, and strangely, and not that it isn't sometimes scary, but I am most comfortable in my own skin, in the vulnerable. Storytelling is one of the places I find it, so I'm willing to tell stories too. I really want to be a good storyteller, And I had really wanted to come here and tell my best story ever, but ended up with this one. And as a story, this one might tank, but that's not a big deal. It's not like that hasn't happened before. If you have me back, I promise a better one, but I won't regret this one, because in the panic of not having a story, I found my most true one, my honest bio. I like it best hanging out in the vulnerable. It is my heart's longing to be in the vulnerable. I want everyone to come along and be there too. I like it so much, I want it so much, I'm willing to go first.
Yeah.